first and foremost, commiserations on the game for today. If you were to just sum it up from your perspective in terms of how everything went, how you sum it up?
Well, we're outplayed first and foremost. We flirted with the game in the first 20 overs. We had patches where we were creating pressure and took wickets, but I think the partnership with Stubbs and James Coles was influential. And we probably just weren't as accurate as what we could be or could have been for the last maybe 5 or 6 overs. But in saying that, we weren't unhappy chasing something around that 175, sort of 180 mark. We thought the wicket was pretty good, potentially getting better. But after a promising start, we just couldn't get any momentum, and that is often the game. When you feel you're behind, you make mistakes. We weren't that far behind, but there was pressure obviously being put on the players, and we just succumbed, and it's quite a substantial loss. So well outplayed.
What's the toughest part about coming into a game like this, Coach, where you know that a win today or tonight secures the playoffs? As a coach yourself, what's the toughest part about this kind of permutation, if I can put it that way?
Yeah, it hasn't really been something we've talked about. We've more been dealing with players we're losing. So we lost our captain in the last game, so we had to make some pretty big adjustments and introduce players to the squad. So we've really concentrated on that, and that can be a little bit unsettling. So really just trying to get back into some sort of rhythm. We've had a couple of games that have been rain interrupted, so it's been a sort of frustrating 10 days. We've lost players, we've had rain outs, and now a couple of under par performances. So really we've been focusing what we need to do, and we came up short today.
And with those changes that you said you've had to make, do you
Yep.
feel like now you're at a point where you are about to find some sort of stability, knowing that at least the captain, predominantly, well, for the most part, is not going to be available for a while, if at all? Have you found that stability now you feel, or you're still going to be tinkering a little bit more?
No, he's out. He's having surgery. No, it takes a little bit of time. When you enter game 8 of a tournament, it's not an ideal scenario to be introducing players. So we've got to work really hard on making sure that, one, the players we introduce are comfortable, and two, that the role definition of players is very clear. So we go back to Johannesburg now, which in terms of home ground advantage, we've got to make the most of, but against a side that's in form in Pretoria. So this is a very close competition. We started off well, but we've just sort of dipped off. So we've got to find something from within to get back in the contest. It's not about just scraping into the semi-finals. It's about creating some rhythms and getting a bit of confidence back.
Yeah, just without wanting to make any excuses, but last year you suffered quite a few injuries in fast bowlers. This year the batters.
Yeah.
Do you feel that something the gap there?
We could go that way, and there's been a couple of 3 a.m.s in the morning where I felt a little bit despondent, but look, it is what it is. Franchise cricket, we haven't had the rub of the green, but we can lament it or just get on with it. And the only option really is to introduce players and get performances. We've still got a good team. We've got some experienced players. We just got to make sure that we find some form and some confidence, even if we have to bluff it. But T20 is so fickle. You can't even use the word momentum in T20. We can come out and play an absolute perfect game the next game, and we're talking a much different language. So we're really positive within the camp, but it has been a little bit unsettling. So we've got to settle and just make sure players are feeling a sense of belonging about it.
You also have quite a youngish squad this year compared to previous seasons.
Yeah.
Is this the time where you lean on the elder statesmen to put their hand up?
Yeah, and a little bit of youthful exuberance as well. You don't want to suppress them. You want them to actually grab the opportunity. And we've seen some good performances from our young players. You do need your experience and your overseas players to be dominant performers, but I will be encouraging the young players to express themselves. And if they can use that flair and ability and that no-fear attitude they've got, sometimes that can be a better catalyst than relying on the older players who are a bit more steady and a bit more assured.
Coach, in as much as there has been those stutters, it has been a good season for your side for season 4. So what are some of those good things that you can pull, not just from the season, but from a match like today? Some of those good things that you can pull with these last 2 games left now before we get to the playoffs.
Look, there were pockets of good performance, but I think really when you get to this point of the tournament, it's about getting wins and losses. The outcomes are really important. I don't know, it was a pretty convincing loss. So I'm not, you can often pretend that there's a lot of positives, but we were just off the pace. We had some individuals who had periods of play that was what we need, but for predominantly or a large part of the game we were under where we wanted to be. So that's probably the overriding feeling, that the best response to that, rather than make something up, is to say, well, we just move on quickly, and that is franchise cricket on the plane tomorrow into Johannesburg, and we have a chance to rectify that. But if you get too carried away in losses and too carried away with wins, you end up becoming very emotional. So more a deadpan approach to it can get you, I think, more consistency.